Well, what is going on, everybody? Welcome, everybody, into the Overreaction Buffalo Sports Show, post-game show, brought to you by the Market Dominator on the Buffalo Rumblings Vidcast Network. My name is Joe Miller. You can find me on Twitter at Joe Miller Wired. Happy Victory Monday to you, but Bills Mafia, AFC East division champions for the fourth straight season in a row. It was not impossible, but it was definitely improbable. But the Buffalo Bills have absolutely pulled off what we all were Dude, it has been, as much as it's funny because on Twitter and on Facebook, everybody's talking about like the heart attacks of like the first half, and like what it's been a heart attack since basically week 10, right? I mean, this whole season has been just what is going on type of a season. Even through the final 5-game stretch of W's, there was many moments in there where it was just like, what is happening? Not impossible, wildly improbable, but the Buffalo Bills have done it. We're going to talk all about it. Welcome to everybody that is joining me right now. We are Super Chat live. Do me a favor, please like, please subscribe, whatever platform you are consuming this podcast, this vidcast on. If you're on YouTube, it's the thumbs up. Please hit that right now. If you can leave a review, I would love to have you leave a review about me, about this show, even the network, maybe even about the Market Dominator. But it is so awesome to have every single one of you. This is, as I always say, a recording of a podcast. And what that effectively means is that I am not ignoring the comment section. I just have an outline and I'm trying to get through it. If you do want to get my attention, please jump over to YouTube. Please super chat me. It'll glow on my screen and it'll get my attention. I'll see it. I'll read it and answer your question, respond to your comment, whatever it is. But as I always like to say, whether this podcast finds you around a cup of coffee, at the gym with your AirPods in, on the drive to work right now, or watching me live as well right now early in the morning, let me just say one more time, welcome. It is so good to have you, and this podcast does absolutely find me around a cup of coffee. Drink if you got them. I think that's what the phrase is, right? It is so good to have every single one of you. Welcome to everybody who is jumping into the comment section. There's way too many of you to name at this point. There's a bunch of you here. Just know that I see you, know that I love you, and know that I appreciate you being on with me live. Before we get the madness started, and it was madness, we're going to talk all about it. Let's take a very brief moment to hear from the show sponsor, John Spascheck, the Market Dominator.
Introducing the Market Dominator.
Folks, I'm John Spascheck. That's right, the Market Dominator, and I am the proud sponsor of the Overreaction podcast, hosted by my good friend, Joe Miller. You know, his approach is absolutely outstanding. It's excellent, and that's what our approach is when we get into real estate. We help our clients win, just like our beloved team is doing week in and week out. So folks, if you want somebody representing you with the most cutting edge technology, using artificial intelligence and everything we can get our hands on to help you win, you reach out to me directly, 716-570-3298. We will answer our phone. And one more thing, go Bills.
Go Bills, Big John Spascheck, longtime show sponsor of the Overreaction show and of me. Super grateful for John. Look, if you are in the market to buy or sell a home, do what I did and a lot of my friends and even my family have done, and give John a call. His team will not let you down. It's a very strange, very tough market, but give John a call, 716-570-3298. That number again, 716-570-3298. In fact, if you would like to, it's 8 o'clock in the morning. I don't know what John's doing. Text him, shoot him a text and say Happy Victory Monday or hashtag Victory Monday, maybe throw in a Go Bills. But thank you, John, so much for everything that you bring to the show. As I just said, Happy Victory Monday. The Buffalo Bills overcame mistakes and injuries to outlast the Miami Dolphins. Yes, I said outlast. We'll get into it. Don't anybody. This show has so much potential to go one way or the other as it pertains to reactions from you, the listener. Some of you are probably wildly excited, thought the game was perfect because we won and we won the AFC East and blah, 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 number 2 seed. And others of you are probably upset. I saw some reaction on social media where people were just like, all the talking heads ever do is talk about the positive things, and like they never bring out the negative things. And if you're a watcher of this show, that's completely not true. And even to the point of I've had to correct myself several times. I did it again yesterday on social media, on Twitter, when Nick Sirianni got his doors blown off by, or would they play the Giants? And I basically was like, there was a dude out here in like podcast land that claimed that Sean McDermott was not as good of a coach as Nick Sirianni. Oh yeah, that dude was me. And I said it 5 weeks ago. Whoops. So yeah, so that's just one of those things. So just roll with me. I guarantee there will be something in this show for everybody, whatever fence, whatever sideline, whatever boundary you sit on, there will be something here for you. Hang with me. But the Buffalo Bills go on to defeat the Miami Dolphins 21-14 to claim their fourth, not two, not three, their fourth and most improbable consecutive AFC East title in Miami. And I love this quote from Deion Dawkins. Deion Dawkins asked in a press conference yesterday about beating the Dolphins to win the AFC East. And Deion Dawkins says, Miami, this is a direct quote, Miami is our city. Bills Mafia runs through this place. And they show us year after year after year, and we're thankful for them. We're thankful for the fans. It was a home game for us for sure. That is Deion Dawkins talking about the presence of Bills Mafia, literally in that stadium, to the point where Josh Allen did somewhat of a victory lap in his, we'll call it his home away from home. He went down there after the game had ended, and you saw it on TV, I'm sure, as there was just massive amounts of Bills fans still in that stadium, as all the Dolphins fans, the ones who decided to show up and not sell their tickets, they dipped. They were out. They're like, peace out, yo. we got a game in Kansas City to not go to. We got a game in Kansas City to maybe watch or not. But it's great to do it the way that the Bills did it in this game in Miami. What a poetic victory. But the Buffalo Bills, more importantly, and I spent some time on this open. The Buffalo Bills are now that team. The Buffalo Bills are that team. They're one of the greats. And I'm not like hesitant to say it, that they're one of the greats. They've shown this year that they are one of those teams. Well, Joe, what do you mean? When you say that they're one of those teams, what are you talking about? The Buffalo Bills are akin to, as much as they haven't won a Super Bowl yet, the Buffalo Bills are akin to the Patriots in 2018, who started the season 2-2 in a slump. Everybody remembers the pictures and the video of Tom Brady on the sideline, angry at his wide receivers, screaming at people, trying to get high fives after touchdowns, and nobody would high five him. Like just somewhat of not a mess, a little bit of an exciting mess for those of us that weren't Patriots fans, because we were like, oh my gosh, the dynasty's finally crashing. It's over. 2-2 slump, but managed to go on that season to correct it, become AFC East champions, and eventually win the Super Bowl. The Buffalo Bills are akin to the Kansas City Chiefs in 2021, who also started the season in a slump. At one point, after 7 games, 3-4, but managed to go on to win the number 1 seed in the AFC. Yes, they went to the Super Bowl that year, and they got beaten in the AFC Championship that year by the Bengals. But regardless, what I'm talking about is that the Buffalo Bills have become, they are now that team that everyone in their division, not that they didn't before, but everyone in the AFC as well, hates. Because just as that meme that we've all seen in the last couple of weeks of Josh Allen's blown up face in the rearview mirror, and it says, objects in this mirror are closer than they appear, the Buffalo Bills have now proven in 2023 that they are always right over your shoulder. It doesn't matter if they're 1 game behind you. It doesn't matter if they're 2 games behind you. It doesn't matter if they're 3 games behind you. They're right over your shoulder. You've always got to be looking. The Buffalo Bills, while they went through seasons and they went through times of being the hunter, and then they went through a season of being the hunted, the Buffalo Bills are now comfortable in what I would say is almost both roles, being the hunter, which we saw them do over the last 5 weeks of the season, as well as being the hunted. When the Buffalo Bills were 5-5, the Dolphins were 6-3. They had a single game lead on the Bills. When the Bills were 6-6 and in 11th place in the AFC standings, the Dolphins were 8-3 and had a 2-game lead on the Bills. I think earlier in the season, it's possible the Dolphins had a 3-game lead at some point. But just like DK Metcalf, and you've all seen, if you're on Twitter, the video the GIF that I posted, the video that I posted that I don't remember at this point who made, but just like DK Metcalf chasing down Budda Baker from the goal line 3 years ago in week 7 of the NFL season, Seahawks Cardinals, the Buffalo Bills are that team. The team that has the ability to chase you down no matter how far out they seem to be, including in this football game. Yesterday, Sunday, was January 7th, 1-7. What number does Josh Allen wear? 17. Josh Allen is that dude. As much as we have been more critical of Josh Allen this year than probably ever, Josh Allen is 100% that dude. He's imperfect. He is not a perfect football player. He's given you a perfect football game. He's probably given you a couple. But Josh Allen is never going to be Mr. Perfect. But he is, more often than not, Mr. Clutch. There were several plays in this football game. My mind races when I think of all the clutch throws that he made. Yes, again, I know he made mistakes. We're going to talk about it. But whether it's the ball that he dropped in the basket to Stefan Diggs on the left side of the field, the long pass, some of the other darts that he threw, the one that he threw to Shakir, where Shakir ran out of bounds at the very end, the 4th and 1s that he converted, what was it, 3rd and 13 where he ran, he basically took off, and he was left for dead in my mind on that run, that specific run in the 4th quarter on one of the last drives several times, and he converted the first down. I still to this point don't know how he did not go down. Ended up with 14 yards, 14 or 15 yards for the first down. The dude, he's Mr. Clutch. He's been embattled last season a little bit, and even this season. He's taken a lot of heat. He's taken a lot of criticism. He has not played well. We're going to talk a little bit about that briefly. But Josh Allen, though he is not perfect, he is absolutely clutch. Stefan Diggs was very much back in this game plan and back in this game. And the reality is, you watch Stefan Diggs' demeanor on the field in this game. He was in it. And we all know, Bills Mafia, this isn't something that you don't know. There's members out there that want to see him gone, which is fine. You can have your opinions and you can fan however you want to fan. And I don't think anybody should necessarily challenge you if you don't like a player. You're not going to like every player that's on your football team. You're not going to like some of their mannerisms. You're not going to like some of their comments. But there's a national and even local media narrative that, in my opinion, is wildly dishonest and borderline reckless. Because the fact is as news journalists, not guys like me that do this as a hobby, but as the real, we'll call them blue checkers, the original verified guys on Twitter that are a part of The Athletic, that are a part of the Buffalo News, that are a part of ESPN, that are a part of NFL Network, as these guys tell you things, us as fans, you and me, we have a tendency more often than not to believe them, even though they're shock jocks. They say things, the Emmanuel H.O.'s of the world, the Nick Wrights of the world. Devin McCourty came out this week and said he studied every single one of Stefan Diggs' routes or pass plays, and it was clear that the Buffalo Bills are trying to prove a point and phase him out of the offense. Look, the Buffalo Bills can't phase Stefan Diggs out of the offense. They are on the hook with him to the tune of tens of millions of dollars. He is untradeable and he is uncuttable. Stefan Diggs is going nowhere. And all the Buffalo Bills would be doing is playing their absolute selves by putting a $30 million on the cap guy on the bench, or 25 or whatever it is, and not throw the football to him. It's lunacy to even report stupid stuff like that. But then you watch this game, and you see that Stefan Diggs is very much in the game. He's doing all the things pregame that he always does, loving the moment, living in the moment, noodling around the fans, throwing the football, yada, yada, yada. Then after the game, during the game, whatever, he was great. And after the game, him and Josh clearly scripted whatever that cover the mouth, yada, 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 which I've heard different people say that what they were mumbling was 4 more to go, or 4 more, basically the amount of games they got to win now to win the Super Bowl. There was a very aggressive hug caught on video with huge smiles between him and McDermott. And yes, I know winning cures all ails. I know that. I know that winning cures every problem that you have. A rising tide lifts all boats. And I know that when you're down and out, and when you're 6-6, and when you're 5-5, and when you're not getting the football, some of that stress and emotion comes out, but it doesn't necessarily mean that I want out of town. I don't want to be here anymore. I want to take my ball and I want to go home. That's not what that means. It just means sometimes you're frustrated. When have you seen Stefan Diggs come out and say any of the things that Jamar Chase has said this year or ever? Jamar Chase came out this week and said, in regards to his contract and T. Higgins, I don't know. I mean, he might be here if I don't take all the money. Imagine Buffalo. Imagine this city and Bills Mafia if Stefan Diggs, in regards to pick another player on this team, James Cook, whoever's up for a contract, Stefan Diggs comes out and says at his locker, you know what, I'm renegotiating my contract because I deserve more money. And then they're like, well, what about James Cook? Or what about blah, 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 blah. And he's like, I don't know. They'll be here if there's any money left because I'm going to take it all. Just imagine what would happen. And we would run him out of town on a rail. On a rail. But Stefan Diggs was very much into this game. He was in the game plan. It was great. We'll talk about stats in a minute. The offensive line settled in nicely, as did Josh, as the game progressed. The Buffalo Bills have to do something about, and I said this on one of the shows last week, and somebody challenged me that no quarterback likes pressure up the middle. It's true. No quarterback does. But Josh, what teams' defenses try to do early is they try to get more than one guy pressuring Josh up the middle. And Josh immediately gets happy feet because he's trying to stay in the pocket, because that's part of what the game plan dictates, what they're trying to get him to do. He is allowed to, and he does break the pocket when necessary, but you can tell there's a difference between who Josh Allen was in 2020, 2021, even 2022 versus who he's trying to be now, which is don't escape so early. Give the line an opportunity to do their job. Give the play an opportunity to develop before you bail. Josh Allen just does not do well in first halves of games where he's getting pressure straight up the middle in his face. He just doesn't like it. And he gets happy feet and he gets erratic. And he does things like that pass that he threw to Gabe Davis that was intercepted by Eli Apple, where if you watch it from the end zone view that they showed, he's all the way to the right. Again, we can't see his eyes, but he's all the way to the right and doesn't even look, just jerks his head. And as he's jerking his head back, his arm is already in motion. He had no clue where Gabe Davis was. He had an idea of where Gabe Davis may have supposed to have been, but he didn't know where the defender was. He didn't know where Gabe Davis was. That was probably the first time that Josh Allen has thrown an interception that I have seen since 2018, where I yelled at the TV, what was that, when it happened? Like, what, like when he threw that interception, even from the game broadcast view, you were like, where, like, Gabe Davis is 15, 20 feet away. You threw it right at Eli Apple, who was completely out of position. Eli Apple had Josh waited a half a breath to see where Gabe was. It was a touchdown, but he didn't. He just jerked back and threw it straight at Eli Apple. And like, they weren't even like, Eli Apple was getting beaten on that play. Josh threw it right at him. So Josh gets a little bit of happy feet. We might talk a little bit about that too. And then the defense, you just can't say, you can want Sean McDermott fired as much as you want. And if we're going to talk about correcting, and if we're going to talk about repeating, going back to the things that we have said as content creators, which I am one, my words were this: if the Buffalo Bills, with Josh Allen, Stefan Diggs, Von Miller, James Cook, these guys, the talent, if the Buffalo Bills, with the talent that is on this roster, with everything that we have seen, Leslie Frazier stepping away, Ken Dorsey getting fired, if the Buffalo Bills and all the turmoil, Sean McDermott taking over play and calling, if the Buffalo Bills with this roster with Josh Allen miss the playoffs to the likes of the Steelers, the Browns, and the Colts, who have backup quarterbacks, there should be conversation about, has Sean McDermott taken this team as far as he can possibly take it? That was the quote that I said. Now, nobody's calling me out on that quote, but I just want to clarify what I said. I was never a fire Sean McDermott. Guy, I said if the Bills miss the playoffs to those three teams that all have backup quarterbacks and you've got Josh Allen, there probably needs to be some difficult conversations about whether or not you've taken this team as far as you can possibly take it. Well, the good news is, as we sit here on January 8th, 2024, and the Buffalo Bills not only made the playoffs, but they're the AFC East champions and the number 2 seed, which I believe is the highest seed they've been in Sean McDermott's tenure. Wildly improbable. Not impossible, but it just shows you the coach that he is. This defense has played so well down the stretch. They played so well in this game. They did exactly what they had to do to slow that Miami Dolphins team down when it needed to be slowed, confused Tua enough, and got him off his spot enough to beat a very good Miami offense that, let's be honest, if any member of Bills Mafia sits there and says, I was never nervous when the Dolphins offense was on the field, you are a liar. That might be because of Tyreek Hill, one of the and even A-Chain. They're one of the scariest offenses I think I've ever seen the Bills play against. Even when you know what's coming, the Chris Collinsworth drift route conversation, even when you know everybody in the world knows that play is coming, Tua generally completes it. And Tyreek is wide open. And there's a chance it's very similar to the same exact play that was ran in the 13-second game when Tyreek had the long touchdown pass. He came from the left side, drifted across the right, ran that drifting post, took it, and then flashed the deuces. Same exact play. It's the same exact play that Mahomes used to throw. It's borderline unstoppable unless the quarterback is inaccurate, which Tua was a lot in this football game. Primarily because of what the Bills defense was doing to him. He was his already very fast clock was sped up. All that to say this about the Miami offense. I'm very glad that we hopefully should not see this team again this year. Because it used to be the team I didn't want to play was the Chiefs. And then the team, even this year, that I didn't want to play was the Bengals. I am firmly cemented that the team I don't want to play this year again is the Dolphins. Give me the Chiefs all day long. And the Chiefs in Kansas City in 10-degree weather against a very, very depleted Dolphins team should win that playoff game next week. But if we do, the good news is if we do see the Dolphins again this year, playoffs 2024 for the 2023 season, it will be in Buffalo. Bills got to do what they got to do first next week against the Steelers. But it was awesome this week to see the smack talk on social media. It was awesome this week to see the rivalry. It's been budding. I've bookmarked so many tweets over the last several months. It's just great to see this rivalry back on. I don't know if you caught it, if you tuned in early enough. NBC did a great spot with Jim Kelly and Dan Marino just talking about this rivalry in the early 90s and going back and forth. And the reality is the Bills owned the Dolphins back then. I talk about it often on all these shows because everybody always loves to talk about Jim Kelly's not a top 10 quarterback in NFL history. But meanwhile, yes, he had a good team, but the dude was clutch against the Dolphins. Dan Marino could not beat Jim Kelly. It just was what it was. But there was a great spot. But it's great to see just this rivalry back on. There's something about nostalgia. There's something about history. There's something about the memories of some of our childhoods when it was always about the Dolphins. And the Dolphins, we befuddled them. We drove them crazy. They just couldn't do enough to get past us. Hall of Fame quarterback, Hall of Fame head coach in Don Shula, history there, and they just could not beat this Bills team. And I'm going to be honest with you, it's great to be back in that spot. And they're going to get their licks. They're going to win their share of games. But at the end of the day, it's fun. This is a fun time to be a Bills fan. It's a fun time, maybe not, to be a Dolphins fan. But the experience this week on social media has been great. I've got so many more bookmark tweets that I have to unbookmark or at least respond to for today from Dolphin fans. I unblocked a couple guys today to go after them. So yeah, bring me all the petty. All the petty is happening this next couple of days. Like Joe Miller is going to be all up in X land or Twitter land or whatever you want to call it, recalling, cashing in receipts, if you will. because there's some debts to be paid. We'll just say it that way. There's some debts. And even to the, this is some takeover, blah, 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 blah. And then you see that stadium post game and how many Bills fans were in that stadium. It was pretty incredible. So you also saw the relief in coach. You saw the relief in your head coach. This was one of the most emotional responses I think we have ever heard from Sean McDermott. From dancing in the locker room, which I know is somewhat cliche. Head coaches have big wins and they're supposed to go in there and, Harbaugh's breaking it down and getting low and, yada, yada, yada. And McDermott isn't, listen, McDermott is, I will tell you this, he's stoic, but he knows when to use his emotions, especially in personal times. And I'm just going to leave it at that. He is not callous. He is not, while he's guarded, he's not completely impenetrable. He understands his emotions. He understands how to use his emotions and when to use his emotions, especially in what I would consider some of his personal life things. And this is just something that I can tell you. You'll have to trust me. I'm not going to tell you why I know this stuff. But we saw a different side of Sean McDermott post-game, the relief, the weight that was lifted from him upon winning the AFC East and accomplishing this task. You have to point back to last season, DeMar Hamlin, Leslie Frazier leaving, all the stuff that happened with Kim Pagula into this season, firing Ken Dorsey, which I'm sure he didn't necessarily want to do, being questioned, the Tyler Dunn article, all of the things that have come out in the national media, blah, blah, like the weight that had been lifted off of his shoulders. Absolutely incredible. And this was actually on WGR. I got it this morning. And this is Sal Capaccio interviewing Sean McDermott on the field. I don't know if you've caught this yet or if you've heard this yet, but this is Sean McDermott is giddy. Sean McDermott is giddy in this interview. And so is Sal Capaccio. Listen to this.
We had some guys going down. I can't tell you how proud I am of these guys, man. Josh Allen, what a leader. What a leader.
What about the punt return for Deontay Hardy and what that meant?
Game changer. We were looking for that all year. Coach Smiley, Coach Harkey, those guys, man, they took it to heart. They took it to heart, and they executed.
Coach, I want you to turn around and see Bills Mafia. Take a look at it right now. What's that say to you?
It's awesome. It's so awesome, man.
Congratulations, Coach. Have a great flight home.
All right, thanks, man.
All right.
Hello, everyone back home, man.
I know, man. It's going to be fun, isn't it?
Baby. Bills Mafia.
4 straight AFC East title. Sean McDermott, the Bills head coach right there. The Bills have done it, guys. They're home next week against the Pittsburgh Steelers. 1 o'clock, 4 straight titles. They do it here in Miami.
Is there a year of destiny? I don't know. But when you listen to the interview has ended and Sean McDermott, I didn't see it, so I'm only hearing it shut, but it sounds like the interview had ended and Sean McDermott turns back around and says, I love Bills Mafia. I mean, all the feels, right? I mean, 1,000%, all the feels. Got a super chat real quick. My guy, Matt Gaventa. Matt, it's good to see you. Appreciate you being a part of the show. Matt says, what's your big thing going into this game with the Steelers? That return by Hardy changed it all. So that I'm going to address the second part first. That return by Hardy changed it all. And I'm going to be transparent. I texted Jerry Ostrowski, which there's several of us that text on rumblings that text back and forth during games all the time. It's not abnormal, which I'm sure a lot of you text your friends. Mike Kingsley, who's in the chat, texts me all the time during football games, during the Bills games. I texted Jerry Ostrowski probably 3 minutes before that punt return, and I said, methinks this game might be over. I just felt like I wasn't saying it was over. I was just saying where this is going. The Bills were down by 7. It just felt like there was no real momentum for the Buffalo Bills kind of before that happened. There was no real energy. It felt like the energy was waning. It felt like the Dolphins were starting to get the better of the Bills, and the Bills were starting to take on injuries. It had that feeling that we all have had, right? It just had a very woof. And then that punt return happened. And I was even in such a mood at that point that when he caught the ball on the 5-yard line, I didn't even respond to it in my head. Like, what are you doing? Why are you catching that football on the 5? Let it go in the end zone. He caught it. He made his first break. He dips up to his right and then cuts to his left. and McKenna's on the couch, and she goes, "Oh my God." Like, because she saw it coming. Like, it was immediate as far as that goes. Like, and just everything in that game shifted and cemented in that moment. Now, there were challenges, like any good football game will have. There were challenges from that point, but what a moment. That is what, like the Nyheim Hines first touchdown return, or I should say kickoff return for a touchdown last year after the DeMar Hamlin game. That is another one of those returns that's going to go down in our memories as amazing, unbelievable, things that we will never forget. And as far as going into the Steelers game, my feelings going to the Steelers game, the Bills just need to come out and beat themselves. They don't need to press. They don't need, the Steelers are going to do what the Steelers are going to do to lose that football game. They almost didn't want to win against the Ravens rather. So just go out there, be yourselves, play defense, play offense. Don't get cute. Don't get stupid. Don't try to be something you're not. Don't try to force it. The best thing the Bills can do is, I'm going to say, borderline be conservative, right? Go into the football game with a good game plan and just execute it. Go home with the victory. That Steelers team is not a good football team. They've lost TJ Watt, I believe, for this game. They've got a backup quarterback in Rudolph, which is a great story, but I'm not buying into the story. So, yeah, they've got a tough run game, right? The double-headed run game. So shut down that run game, score your points, do what you got to do, get out of the game. Matthew, thank you so much for the super chat. Also got another one from Peyton Plays. Peyton, thank you so much for being a part of the show. He says, late to the show, happy Victory Monday. I think this might have been Sean's best coached game. I would agree with you on that. Could gone south in so many ways. Defense was lights out. Not only that, and I think I've got it in my notes, not only was it his best coached game, and it could have gone south in so many ways, he stayed aggressive. He stayed aggressive on offense, and more importantly, he stayed aggressive on defense. I was waiting for the soft prevent defense to show up, like in the last couple of drives by the Dolphins, and he didn't. Since that Eagles game, so I think in the show after the Eagles game, I said, can Sean McDermott learn from this? Because we have seen he has not learned from games in the past, and he did. He learned from that game to stay aggressive. If you remember, the Eagles scored 30 points in the second half of that football game to eventually go on and win, of which I think that was the last game the Eagles won. That's the last time the Eagles won was against us in a game where Sean McDermott went conservative and the Bills defense gave up 30 points. Now, I know he said we didn't change anything. They did. They changed a lot in the second half of that game. The most impressive thing to me was the fact that the Bills defense stayed aggressive late when it mattered. I don't care what anybody says. We all know, every football fan knows what the prevent defense is. It's a prevent a win defense, because you give up plays when you shouldn't, and you let teams back in, and you let them think they've got a chance. If you're going to go down, and you've heard Sean say this, go down swinging, right? Just go down swinging. And that's effectively what we have watched in the last 5 weeks of this season. The Bills have not gone down. The Bills have basically put all the marbles, all the chips in the middle of the table, and have said, look, if we're going to go down, we're going to go down being aggressive. We're going to go down playing our football game. We're not going to let you back in. You're going to have to earn it, right? You're going to have to earn it. So it was fantastic. Peyton, thank you so much for being a part of the show, and thank you for that super chat. Super, super awesome. Where am I at in my notes? So the Buffalo Bills, yes. Just the emotional response on Sean McDermott. What a moment. What an absolutely awesome moment. Yes, 2 seed playoffs, going through Buffalo. You think about it, would be poetic. However, just get in, of which they knew they were already in, because the Jacksonville Jaguars, woof. 2 epic collapses this season between the Eagles and the Jaguars, eventually putting the Jaguars out of the playoffs. The Dolphins could probably be considered a little bit of a borderline collapse as well, losing 3 of their last 5 games, to basically lose the AFC East and end up with the 6th seed. Just get in. And the Bills did not only get in, but they got the 2 seed. But I asked, who was it? I asked somebody, I don't remember if it was Fina. It might've been Fina. I said, how sustainable is it that the Buffalo Bills can ugly down a game, right? So basically bring a team that executes somewhat precisionally. Is that a word? They execute on a very precise basis. And basically, how often can the Bills just turn it into an ugly football game and make you play their game, which is an ugly style of football right now, and win? And I said, I don't want to disparage the Dolphins because they do things well. They have an excellent execution of their offense. They do a very good job. It's very precise. It's very timed. It's not something that's just like, we're going to line up and just run the football down your throat. Like, that's not who they are. They're not Najee Harris. That's not who they are. They're very much based on precision and excellence. However, can the Bills dumb that down? Can they ugly it up? And the Bills did it again. They uglied this game. It was an ugly win, and I don't even give a crap. If they can if we win a Super Bowl ugly, we won the Super Bowl, right? If we win the AFC Championship game ugly, we won the AFC Championship game. At the end of the day, I don't care. Just win. As much as it's a heart attack and it's a cardiac issue and my blood pressure is going through the roof, and I would much rather see them win by 30 or lose by 30. At the end of the day, just win, right? L. Davis, just win, baby. But the Dolphins were depleted on defense. The Buffalo Bills suffered some key injuries. We're going to wait and hear what's going on with Dotson, with Davis, with Douglas. And then obviously Ty Johnson had the concussion. Deion Dawkins had a laceration on his hand, they said, which they stitched. And all I can think about is how unfun it would be to play with stitches in your hand as an offensive lineman, where your job is to grab people. But that's another conversation for another day. We got a good look at Balin Spector in this football game, and I thought he played well. And depending on how hurt Gabe is, we may see what this offense looks like from a game plan perspective without him in it next week, which I would guess against the Steelers, they may not force some of these guys back into the lineup, because the Steelers are a team that kind of backed in. I know you want to feel like we backed in, but you don't really back in as the AFC East champions and the number 2 seed. Sherfield played well. Shakir played very well. I continue to be wrong about Shakir, and I love it. I'm here for it. Prove me wrong every single Sunday, Khalil. Prove me wrong every single Sunday. And if we don't see a lot of Gabe Davis, or if we don't see Gabe Davis, you've got to wonder if we're going to see a little more reliance on that 2 tight end set, and the ball getting into Kincaid's hands and Dawson's hands. Kincaid, of which who had a fantastic football game yesterday. What do I got here? I want to talk about the story of the football game, but I'm not going to get there yet. We all know the plays of the game. I'm just trying to speed it up because I'm getting a little bit deep in my notes here, and I'm getting a little bit long. There were some positives in this game, right? Super good positive games. The 4th and 1 for the Bills' own 36-yard line. Dude, I was a ball of nerves. You're on your own 36, 4th and 1. And you're going for it, down by a touchdown, putting them in field goal range. I know you trust your defense, but holy crap. And I know what they said. The analytics say you go for it here, yada, yada, yada. It's still unsettling. For a football team that traditionally and historically we have seen punt on their own, or on the opposing team's 42, to see them go for it on their own 36 was something. The incredible catch by Trent Sherfield was amazing. The pass, the ball rocketing off the helmet of Van Ginkel, and then the toe tap. That's going to be a highlight thing that we're going to see there was a lot of highlights from this game. And then obviously the punt return from Deontay Hardy. Negatives, Josh's first pick. We talked about that a little bit, Josh's fumble. And more importantly, from a negative standpoint, Torrance one-on-one with Christian Wilkins, like, really? So the whole entire offensive line is sliding to their left, and you've got Torrance, a rookie, ISO'd on one of the best defensive tackles in football, and he beats him. Like, just makes him look silly, he turns him into a turnstile, and then Josh fumbles the football. That wasn't great. And the reality is, what do we make of this version of Josh Allen? I know that Josh Allen has always kind of had a history and a knack for fumbling the football, but the Bills have, by and large, gotten those fumbles back. But Josh Allen has, in the last couple of years, really turned the football over a bunch. And I don't know how that's happening. I don't know why that's happening. Obviously it's reiterated and confirmed in his mind daily, weekly, whatever you want to say, locker room, and probably when he's at home on his couch, whatever, that, he's got to shore that stuff up, and he's got to stop putting the ball in harm's way. But it continues. The biggest game of the Bills season, and he's got 3 turnovers in this football game. The interceptions, they didn't hurt him in this football game. One of them was an arm punt, and I know people don't like that term, but the 4th and 2 in the end zone, he shouldn't have thrown that football, but it was an arm punt, whatever. But it's just concerning. And I got to wonder how long it's, again, sustainable. We keep coming back to this term, sustain. How long can you sustain winning when you're winning ugly? How long can you sustain winning when you're hurting yourself with turnovers and interceptions from primarily one player, who's the best player on the team, which is why we give him grace. But it's just, I'm just throwing it out there. It is what it is. But, stats be damned. You can't look at 2023 Josh and feel like you're looking at the same guy who was as dangerous with the football in his hands as anyone in 2020 and 21, and the limited turnovers, interceptions that he had in those years. So Josh was throwing the ball, 70%, 80% of the time in 2020 and 2021, and had far fewer interceptions and far fewer, oh my God, what was that, throws than he's having now. And even though his stats are better, which is strange, I know, it just looks different. And maybe that's okay. Maybe this is what we're going to get for the balance of his career. I just prefer 2020, 2021 Josh. I know. Well, they didn't win the Super Bowl in 2020 and 2021. And if they win the Super Bowl in 2023, then, maybe that's what it is. Well, the defense also wasn't as good back then as it is right now. And defense, as we know, still wins championships. Doing my best to get through this, everybody. I apologize if I'm keeping you long. Story of this football game real fast, as it usually is. This was the tale of two different halves. I felt the offense and defense played well throughout the game. The Bills did enough to win this game in the first half. They just weren't finishing, and a lot of that were, obviously turnovers. There was the incredible stop on Ty Johnson at the goal line. And I would just basically leave everybody with this. I know that McDermott called out Josh, or at least the offensive coordinator, with the route concepts. That ball's got to go to the end zone. There was no receiver in the end zone. Go back and look at it. There was nobody to throw the football to in the end zone. So Josh picked the right guy, picked the right route, picked the right throw, and Ty Johnson got stopped. Probably if that ball's thrown 10 times, he's probably scoring a touchdown 9 of them. So you can say what you want. I don't think that was on Josh. I thought it was fine. The game seemed to slow up, in my opinion, in the second half as both teams punted with their first possessions. The Dolphins went on a punting rampage in that second half. They just could not get their offense going in the right direction. The Bills defense was very much, as I said, really kind of getting them sideways. You just felt like as the half wore on, especially after that Deontay Hardy punt return, that the Miami offense was just not going to find themselves. And that window was getting wider and wider and wider for the Buffalo Bills. It was just a freaking fantastic football game all around. Let's do this. Stats real quick. I'm just going to give them to you very quick, and then I'm going to read your tweets. Player stats for the Buffalo Bills. Josh Allen, 30 of 38. Not bad. That's better than 75%, I think. 359, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Josh Allen ran the ball 15 times for 67 yards. A couple of them were clutch. James Cook, 13 for 36. Leonard Fournette, 7 for 20. Ty Johnson, 1 for 5. Again, 1 out of the game with a concussion. Khalil Shakir, 6 for 105. He had the big he had 2 long passes, right? Stefan Diggs, 7 for 87. It was great to see him back in the fold, back in the game plan, averaging 12.4 yards per reception. Dalton Kincaid, 7 of 84. Trent Sherfield, 3 of 24. This is another one of those games where Josh just hit 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 or 9 different receivers, just all over the place. As far as the Dolphins go, Tua was 17 of 27 for 173, 1 touchdown and 2 interceptions. Devon Achane, 10 carries, 56 yards. Jeff Wilson, 9 for 45. Tyreek was 7 receptions for 82 and a touchdown. You're going to take those numbers. I know he dropped a lot of passes, but you're going to and it was because some of the passes were contested and some of them were off the mark, which is because of your defense. I'm going to take 7 for 82 against Tyreek Hill every Sunday. Smythe, 3 for 30. Cedric Wilson Jr., 1 for 24. Blah, 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 blah. Just kind of goes down the list. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to talk about your tweets, Bills Mafia. I haven't done this in a couple of weeks because over the holidays I wanted to stay married, so this show did not happen. So I apologize to any of you that missed this show, but the holidays, my wife and my family are more important. I hope you can forgive me for that. After this football game, I tweeted out from the Overreaction handle, that's a wrap. RAPP. The Bills just clinched the AFC East for the 4th straight time. 2 seed. They got the number 2 seed. That's Or how's that win got you feeling, Bills Mafia? Reading your tweets live. Yada, yada, yada. Here we go. Just keep winning, says Saxa Dave, my guy, all the way from across the pond. Feeling like we're back from the dead. I'm relieved, stressed, frustrated, concerned, more about injuries, euphoric, and older. It's all our hearts, man. Our tickers are taking it. We're all feeling older. AFC East champions again, and the 2 seed. Wildest dreams land. You said it. I got to repost it. Steve Westerhout says just the gif of I forget who the wrestler is, but going woo. Yep, I'm with you. Mimi Fina in the house says absolutely loved seeing all the different players making huge plays and the amount of momentum that record-setting punt return gave. Wildest dreams land once more. She says, I'd say yes. Go Bills. Go Bills. Scottish Bills, Bills Mafia, Jason, all the way from Scotland. It's amazing to me how many interactions I get from people not from the United States, and I love it. It's freaking amazing. It was never in doubt, he says, apart from the turnovers, the drops, the injuries, and the inability to score. If you've not met Jason, Jason's awesome. But when it mattered, we came through. Hardy's run and TD, Sherfield's insane catch for a score, Rapp's clinching interception, and of course, the alien himself, Josh Allen. What a season. What a season indeed. Richard Rush, my guy, Richard R. Rush 2, who's in the chat right now. It wasn't easy. It never is being a Bills fan rather. But we got the job done. I love being the beast of the East and the number 2 seed. Now let's get the job done and finish this thing. Go Bills. Jose whosoever _777. So are the Bills to the Dolphins what the Patriots were to the Bills during the Tom Brady era? Yes, Jose, they are. And if that's the case, I can kind of empathize with Fish fans. That's funny because I can't. With Fish fans and their social media meltdown. I mean, I love it, but I can also empathize. He says, go Bills. That's awesome. Bill S says, CRZY Bill, I'll admit I was losing faith middle of the season, but ecstatic about being the number 2 seed. Our D is playing so great right now, and with Allen, we can beat anyone. Let's see if we can keep this thing going. Go Bills. Peyton says, well, I guess there's only one thing left to do, and this is the gift from Major League. What's that? Win the whole thing. My guy, Brian Bowers, Brian Anthony at B_easy4. Honestly, I was almost ready to give up at some point in the second half, but then I reminded myself of this. The Dolphins haven't really beaten anyone and haven't done much in this game. The Bills, as usual, were beating themselves. Even with all that, this team still found a way to take the division. Yeah, dude, they finished. That's the big word. They found a way to take the division. They finished this game. The resiliency that this team has is incredible. Pamela at Pamadonna. I never know how to feel before a game anymore. Will they win? Will they lose? I'm resolved to the fact that it's always going to be a ride, a roller coaster, if you will, Pamela. They were 6-6 over a month ago, and now AFC champs. They definitely keep us on our toes. Watch, this is the year we win it all. I hope that does happen. I like where you're going with that, Pamela. Mike Graham at All Right Mike 13. Mixed emotions, Joe. I want second half Josh Allen throughout the playoffs. He definitely made me look dumb, and I'll take that. I'll take that L. AFC East champs. Let's go Bills. So I'm guessing Mike Graham put some stuff out there into cyberspace just about Josh frustrating him a little bit in some way or shape or another. Bills Media 716. They counted us out, Joe. We still have work to do. Like Diggs said, 4 more. But man, words can't describe how I felt when Rapp picked that ball off. 3 months of nonstop trash talk from Finns fans, all to take the division away in the last game of the year. Last play of the year is absolutely true. And he says, hashtag wildest dreams land. Totally retweeting that. C-Dub, hashtag Bills Mafia. This is from Chris Wells. I'm feeling pretty all right. Thanks for asking. You're welcome. Xavier Stutz. Josh tried to lose, but Tua is way better at throwing games. Hope the Fish has fun in KC. Heard it's going to be cold. It's also going to be cold in Buffalo. I saw the weather report today. They're saying like 24 snowstorms. Not looking forward to that. I mean, I'm looking forward to it, but I'm not. Leon B says, hashtag wildest dreams land. Go Bills. Go Bills indeed. Bills negatweet. So NEGA tweet at who is FCS. Josh does not dwell on the mistakes. Unfazed like the mind eraser thing in Men in Black. Or better yet, and I saw this last night, Josh Allen, to Ted Lasso's point, is a goldfish. Just be a goldfish, Josh. And Josh does a good job of just being a goldfish. Autumn at Autumn Sports says, I don't know, ALDNF. She's got a bunch of letters in tears. Buffalo. I don't know what. Some of you young folk probably know what she's saying with all of these letters. I don't even know. I'm gonna put it in the chat. gonna put it in the chat here real quick. So, and then you guys can tell me what she's saying, because I know that this means something. I'm just too old to know what it means. In tears, Bills by $1 billion, win the whole damn thing, she says. Bills backers of Kansas City. He's got the gift that said, I never had a doubt in my mind. I love it. Lakeezy, we cooked the Dolphins. Chiefs will flash freeze the leftovers next week. Go Bills. Anthony at Cattle Dog Dad says the last 2 minutes got me like, and he's got Fred Sanford like having a heart attack. Charles Byrne says, I don't know what's more priceless, Sherfield scoring a touchdown off of a badly thrown ball or the look on Mike Daniels' face. Mike Daniels had some great screenshots, of which I took a couple and reposted them. Yeah, he needs to get control of his face in these football games, because he has very much the mouth agape and like, what is happening type stuff. Pops Mafia has the picture of Josh Allen holding the baby Dolphin, or the baby Dolphins fan, Ryan Kelly. 100% true story. I told my Dolphins fan buddy I'd trade Sherfield to Miami for a hot dog. Hardy and Rapp not far behind for preseason acquisition letdowns, and we win the game because of Sherfield, Hardy, and Rapp. Couldn't make this up. Big baller beanie. So yeah, he's basically, Ryan's just saying like, what a turnaround, right? 3 guys that we thought were wastes of free agents win this game, win the AFC East for the Bills. Great stuff. Zach Jennings, never a doubt. Seriously though, it got me shook. It got me stirred. Oh wait. That was just my drink. Thankful for this win. Can't wait for the Steelers to visit us. 4th straight title. Keeping this run going is pure bliss. Hashtag wildest dreams land. Charles Byrne. I think Charles was in here twice. This is the 2nd time. The Bills need more long sustained drives, mixing up looks as well as run and pass plays. Still quite predictable once the offense lines up. If a viewer can recognize it, imagine what a pro athlete can see. Also, Josh needs to stop turning over the ball with the hero ball toss-ups. I would say this, if the viewer can see it, what do the pros see? They see it too, but for some reason they just can't stop it. And that's what the most important thing is. Johnny O, happy to play the Steelers, and hopefully they get some players back. And a lot of keeping the guys out was more for cautionary reasons. Oh, gotcha. So yeah, hoping that the injuries aren't bad, that the reason they held them out of the game is because they were injured. They just wanted precautionary wise. So yeah. Totally got you, Johnny. Good tweet. Thank you for being a part of the show. James Alexander Perks. I'm elated. I'm spent. I'm wide awake. No sleep tonight for me. This team is a roller coaster. This QB is a maverick. I wouldn't change him for any other. From 6-6 to 11-6 in a division title win. Wildest dreams land. Guys, we did it. Go Bills. Bring on the Steelers. Vin A has never over with this guy, and he's got Josh Allen Gift doing the John Brown arm whip thing, which his arms are not as fast as John Brown's. Mrs. KCB, exhausted, she says. Go Bills. Tom, amazing. It worked out. Fair. It did. Arthur Majizak, I can't pronounce his last name. I apologize. I love our Buffalo Bills and keep going to win your rings. Yes, let's keep going and let's win them rings. Terry Lynn says, got a couple more for you. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Go Bills, she says. Love that. It's hello. Why not 4 more W's? Why not? I agree. And then we got another one from Colty with the Major League. What's left to do? Let's go and win the whole entire thing. Happy Unicorn. This is the last one for you. Josh Allen is the MVP of any thinking person who actually watches games. No player means more to their city and more to their team than Joshua Patrick Allen. Hashtag Bills Mafia. Hashtag Josh Allen quarterback. Hashtag Josh Allen QB for MVP. Those, ladies and gentlemen, are your tweets. And I got it done in under an hour. How about that? I was nervous there for a minute. I'm just being honest with you guys. So I put that thing that Autumn put in there, and nobody's got anything. So maybe she was just pounding the keyboard out of excitement. I don't know. I thought it was one of those things where like the if you know type things were like like it all lines up to something. But yeah, I don't know either. So, but ladies and gentlemen, it's Victory Monday. It's going to be Victory Tuesday tomorrow and Victory Wednesday. There's going to be a lot of highlights from this game. There's going to be a lot of change in conversation around the Buffalo Bills nationally and probably locally to the tune of, oh, no, you let them in. And not only did you let them in the playoffs, they have the 2 seed, which means they're at least guaranteed, if they win this week, 2 home field playoff games. And if the Ravens lose one of the next 2 games, or I should say next week, they're not playing this week, but if the Ravens lose next week, then the Buffalo Bills, like the road to the Super Bowl goes through Buffalo if the Bills keep winning. Going to be a lot of fun conversation. There's going to be a lot of people trying to play I told you so. Look, shape your own opinions, form your own thoughts, do your own rewatching of the games, look at plays again slowly, right? Just don't buy into narratives. have fun, enjoy this victory. For goodness sakes, Bills Mafia, AFC East champions. 4 years in a row. And this, I'm going to give it to you again. This is your coach's interview at the end of the game.
We had some guys going down. I can't tell you how proud I am of these guys, man. Josh Allen, what a leader. What a leader.
What about the punt return for Deontay Harding, what that meant?
Game changer. We were looking for that all year. Coach Smiley, Coach Harkey, those guys, man, they took it to heart. And they executed.
Coach, I want you to turn around and see Bills Mafia. Take a look at it right now. What's that say to you?
It's awesome. It's so awesome, man.
Congratulations, Coach. Have a great flight home.
All right, thanks, man.
All right.
Hello, everyone back home, man.
I know, man. It's going to be fun, isn't it?
Baby. Bills Mafia.
4 straight AFCs.
So awesome. Ladies and gentlemen, you have been tuned into the Overreaction Buffalo Sports Show, brought to you by the Market Dominator on the Buffalo Rumblings Vidcast Network. My name is Joe Miller. You can find me on Twitter at Joe Miller Wired. Thank you guys so much. The John Fina Show looks like it's going to be Tuesday. John is traveling today being Monday, so he is unavailable. So we're going to try to go tomorrow, Tuesday, probably midday, somewhere between 4 Eastern and 6 Eastern. So I apologize for that, but at the end of the day, this is not our jobs. This is basically a hobby for us and duty calls. So appreciate you guys. Love you guys. Enjoy this win. Enjoy this week. Next week, Steelers, Bills, 1:00 Sunday, first round wild card weekend, Buffalo Bills 2 seed. Love you guys. Go Bills.